JHK here for the AllStar, and joining me right now is UFC bantamweight Julio Arce. Bantamweight, man, are you used to that yet? I know you had one fight there, but it seemed like you've been a featherweight for so long.
You know what? I mean, I started off as a bantamweight, but I think it was just time for me. It was a matter of time before I went back to the division I started in.
Do you ever look back and say, man, how come I didn't just go down to bantamweight much sooner? Like maybe my path to the top 15 would have been a lot quicker.
Yeah, I think I should have. I think it was just a matter of like, all right, let me try like kind of bulking up a bit and being comfortable at 45. And I'm like, these dudes are just too fucking huge for me at 45.
Well, did you bulk up at 40 when you were fighting at 45, any?
Yeah, but not enough. Not enough.
But do you feel like that has actually helped you when you return back to bantamweight?
Oh, it made a huge difference, because when I was fighting at 35 in the regional circuits, it started getting tougher to make 35 because I wasn't like I didn't have a lot of muscle. I didn't have it was like I was just skinny. So now like the little bit of bulking up that I did to 45 helped now with the cut 35, and I have Eric Pena who helps me with the nutrition cut down to 35. Make it
Yes.
easier.
Yeah, definitely, man. And let's talk about your last fight. You returned after almost 2 years away. Bantamweight debut for the UFC. You go in there against a tricky fighter in Andre Yule. You get in there, you figure him out. Second round, TKO finish. How much of what you formulated in training camp was utilized in that fight?
Every aspect of it, from lateral movement, being patient, especially with the more rangier fighter, and the fact that he's another lefty. So, went in there and the coach was like, "Look, just do it one step at a time. You know, feel him out. When you get that read, start putting it on little by little, and then we ended up with the finish."
Definitely. And what sticks more in your memory? A fight that you finished or a hard fought decision victory?
It both. I think this fight stuck with me a lot because it was like my return after being gone for almost 2 years in a new weight division, and the fact that I got to finish. So that was a special moment in itself.
You make your bantamweight debut and then you get the win. Now they got you a ranked opponent instantly. It must feel good. Song Yadong or Yadong Song, whatever way you prefer. Why is this fight not on UFC 268 in NYC? Why, Julio?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Did you
With
push
the
for it? Did you push for it?
I was just trying to get a fight, just a fight. And like a lot of the higher ranked opponents where they're already matched up. And at first, from what I heard, I think they offered him the fight. And I don't think he took it at first, but knowing that everyone else is, I think, who's ranked above him is scheduled to fight, I was the only person there to be like, all right, let's just fight. That's it.
All right. Yeah. And what is your breakdown of him and his style, his skill set?
Hey man, he's a top prospect, and young, explosive, very athletic, but he has the things, he has a couple of things in there that, we see throughout his fights. I know there was he's gone to a couple of split decisions with some very tough opponents. Um, the fight with Cheeto Vera, which was a very questionable one. I think that was someone that I don't think he really won when you really watch it. But whatever the case is, man, he's the next tough opponent in front of me, and I have to go in there and take care of business.
For sure. You mentioned split decision victories. His last fight was a split decision win against Kenney. How did you feel about, his performance in that fight particularly, and did he win clearly to you?
It's a toss up because it's like I think everyone just sees, some people could see us the fight going, a certain way, and then other people are seeing like other aspects. So I'll give you an example. It's like, you know, a person could be doing a takedown and some people are like, oh, well, he took him down. Yeah, but they took him down offensively or defensively. So it's like there's a bunch of factors that go in there. He won a solid, split decision. Um, and hey, you see some things in there, you're like, okay, you start picking up from, and then you start kind of incorporating into your game plan.
Yeah, and your last two losses were split decisions. It seems like it's different from your position because a lot of people felt like you won that fight. In Song Yadong's fights, a lot of people thought he lost his split decisions. When you dissect his game, you kind of have to have the mentality of I might have to go to split decision with this guy, man. This guy is tough and he's young and he's trying to take my head off.
Yeah, man. Look, I'm looking at wherever the fight goes, whether we go to a decision, submission fight, I'm looking to just have my hand raised in victory. Time to make a run for this.
Why do you think the judges like him so much? Do you think? Let me dissect your brain. Why do you think the judges like him so much?
Look, I see in his fights when it starts going to it, when it's like very close like that, he comes forward a lot. And he's just coming forward. And look, whether he's landing or not, he's coming forward and putting pressure on you. So I think, in the judge's eyes, you see somebody coming forward, they're like, yo, that's the fresher fighter. That's the person that's putting in more. So to their eyes, they'll be like, okay, this is the person that I have winning. But then, some judges see it a different way. So I don't know. Like I said, he's a hot prospect, and who knows? I can't put my finger on. All I know is like, look, when Kyler Phillips fought him, it went to a close decision, but Kyler Phillips, won the fight. So who knows? I think it's an output thing. It's whatever the judges are seeing.
I recently spoke with your teammate Shane Burgos, and he was telling me that the training room is incredible right now. It's always incredible, but right now a lot of guys have fights, or they did have fights. In your eyes, how would you describe the sessions that you guys are having lately?
Intense, very intense. Like it's just a whole different energy because also like, we had one of our teammates who had his pro debut. We had one of our teammates who was in Contender Series. Another of our teammates having their pro fights, amateur fights, so everybody's training because now that everything's going again the way it should have after like a long pause from a lot of people from fighting. Now they're back into it and like they're putting in work. So the room is filled. Then we all have our own fights. So it's an electrifying, energy in the room.
Yeah, for sure. And is there anything that you approach differently with this training camp?
I think a lot, after my last fight, I jumped right back in. I was, luckily enough to, not have any injuries. So I just got right back in the training camp. I just kept it going, pushing the conditioning at each time like no other, and just each time just doing more and more and more and more and just pushing it to the next level.
For sure. You had a little something on your eye. It didn't take much long to get that fixed.
Yeah, it was like they stitched it up. It took like 3 days. I was like, all right, I'm good.
All right, all right. Now, Song, he's like you mentioned, he's a highly touted prospect. He's ranked number 15 in the division, actually ranked higher than that at one point. UFC seems to be pushing him. That means your job is to go in there and derail that. What does this fight represent to you?
This fight represents my step. It's my climb up towards future title contention, and that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm hungry for this, and I'm waiting for this. I was waiting to come back into this division and get right to work, and that's all that's been on my mind. Just training, fighting, do it all over again. Training, fighting, do it all over again, and just nonstop. It is my time to really make this run.
And how do you see yourself performing against Song?
Dude, it's gonna be fireworks, and I look to leave there with my hand raised in victory.
Sure. Now, since you are at bantamweight now, right? And I'm wondering to myself, are you ever going to seek that third fight against Brian Kelleher, or has that ship sailed?
Part of me, like, who knows? I think the fact that, look, if it was like 1-1, I get it, but he beat me twice. He was a better man those days, and I don't know. I feel like that ship sailed, and he's pushing for the O'Malley fight, whatever he gets. Look, if it happens, it happens. If not, I think like he has those victories over me, so it's like Like if it doesn't make sense. If it does, who knows? Whatever's.
From my perspective, I feel like that was so long ago, and fighters are
Hmm.
completely different, especially when that happened in the regional scene, and now you're both in the UFC. I feel like we're
Yeah,
gonna see a different fight, even though you might be down 2-0.
yeah. So who knows? Look, we might end up meeting. Who knows? We might not. Whatever it is, it's like I'll be down for it.
All right, for sure, man. I guess you're so easy to deal with the UFC, right? The UFC is like, here's a fight. You're like, all right, when's the date? Let's make it happen.
Yeah, man. Like I'm not ranked. I'm not, and I just I want to be busy. I was gone for almost 2 years, and I want to make up for lost time. So in this case, of course, we want to climb up the rankings. We want to really, you know, get high ranked opponents, but everyone's being booked right now. So it's like whatever we're gonna get, of course we're gonna do it smart and with strategic with the coaches, and we'll just be very strategic about it. But we're gonna make our climb. So, Song was the next person that was available to fight. I'm like, let's do it.
Have you noticed a difference in matchmaking before and after COVID?
Yeah, I think now that everyone's like going, it's like they're just like, okay, this is who we got. I feel like everyone's just getting booked solid. Like even when I was first trying to get the fight with when I got the fight with Andre, they were like, this is the only fight available because then we're booked until the end of the year. I was like, Jesus, man, they're fucking booked like that. It's crazy. Like we're booked until February. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, you can't wait that long, man. You got to get in there as soon as
Yeah,
possible. Um, uh,
exactly.
a couple other questions, outside of your fight. You've been dealing with media, particularly MMA media, for many years now. What is some
Mhm.
advice you could give to everyone when they're dealing with fighters?
I think look, it depends. When you're dealing with fighters, it's like just talk to them. Think just talk to them. It's like I know like we always get a lot of the same questions over and over. So people like, they're feeling this and that. When people are like in the midst of their cuts and stuff like that, you just have a conversation with them, make it fun. That's
Uh,
it.
all right, all right.
Talk to them.
And this one is an open-ended question. You could answer anywhere you want. What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? Hmm. Besides a good TV show, I think things that keep me up at night, unless it's like the dogs outside my neighborhood barking all freaking night. Other than that, I just freaking fall asleep instantly.
You're too busy all day, huh? You're just
I
fatigued.
know. Usually after I'm done, I just knock out and I'm gone until the next day.
What are you watching at night? Is there anything particular?
Like right now, of course, I've been watching a lot of like a lot of just like shows on Netflix. Been watching a little bit of anime here and there, and of course, the last thing I watched was I'm trying to get into the series of Dark, which is like this European show. It's supposed to be really crazy, and trying to get on the new season of The Witcher, which I heard it comes out in December. So that's supposed to be pretty exciting. So I can't wait for that.
So you and Shane are probably not talking about TV shows because he's like the food channel 100% of the time. It seems like.
Oh, he goes off on that. I see him on Instagram. It's hilarious because there's like this Instagram called Devour Foods,
Yeah.
and they like make videos of all these places, and they have like all this delicious food, and I'm like, yo, this spot is really literally 2 miles away from me. That's where I'm going after.
All right. Well, you can probably go there after many times after this fight, November 13th, UFC Fight Night, Las Vegas. Julio, appreciate the time, man. Enjoy the rest of the camp and have a phenomenal performance.
Thanks, my man. Thanks for having me. Take care, bro.